I have two separate advice for two different groups of people. In crypto, there's three major things that every application should get correct. And that's the way that you make money sustainably for the long run.
Aaron, how do you see the Web3 of the future?
Well, I believe the Web3 of the future should not look too much different from the Web2 world in terms of user experience, in terms of how the apps look and operate. And I believe that it will be mostly similar, except that in the Web3 world, the application should be centered and owned around the users. So we are more than a user, which also means that we have some added responsibility if we want for governance, and it should be open and accessible to everybody. So this will be the difference. Why is this important? Is because if you look at the model of Uber, the traditional, Silicon Valley type of method that they used before, these companies raise a bunch of money. They will try to get as much market share as possible, which also means burning a lot of cash. And once they get the adoption, then they start to squeeze for the profit, which also means that everybody gets squeezed by this profit-making entity in the middle. So if Web3 is successful, then instead of this model where we have VC funding and this money gets burned, we hope that we can actually create a token that brings everyone together. And once this token generates value, it can also be used to create an ecosystem where there's a sustainable revenue stream that feeds back into the system. So this is the ideal Web3 example of a successful Web3 enterprise that I hope to see in the future. But in terms of user experience and everything, it should be the same. Yeah. So I hope we get to this point in the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, Aaron, you're in the crypto already for 9 years, and can you give advice for people who just want to enter crypto space? What should they do?
Okay, so I have two separate advice for two different groups of people. If you're an accredited investor in your country, then I would highly advise you to look for a fund, a professional, legally established fund for Web3. The chances of you getting a good result is going to be much better, and it's a risk manage. It should be a risk management fund with some proven track record instead of a brand new one. Now, for retail investors, I believe you should follow the strategy of some of the venture capital that I know. And what this venture capital are betting on is actually on infrastructure projects. Why infrastructure? Is because everybody needs infrastructure. And infrastructure is very difficult and it takes a lot of time to build. Now, I'm not saying to invest in only new projects, but also look at some of the old projects. And when you look at some of the old projects, you should look at several metrics. For example, you should look at number of daily active users, number of transaction. Total value lock is a bit tricky because there could be double counting, but do look at that. Also, the number of active developers or commits to GitHub, for example. Yeah, so all these metrics are worth looking at, but I can tell you that no single one will give you the direct answer. Other than that, try to understand that in crypto, there's three major things that every application should get correct once they have a product, a good product market fit. Number one is value creation. You must know how this protocol creates its value. Number two, how does this protocol capture the value? There are examples of projects that are actually very useful and they build a lot of things for other people to use, but they don't necessarily get the benefit of providing that to the community, for example, right? So this would be a case of low value capture, or something needs to change to capture more value. And the last one is actually network effect. You need to understand how the network effect mechanism works. How are they gaining more users? Is it through a a fantastic referral program? Is it through a retroactive airdrop? Is it a continuous program? And how economical these programs are, and when they actually reach their objective. For example, X number of users, right? Are the activities these users are generating creating enough value to sustain the entire ecosystem? Yeah. So these are the three components that you need to look at. And if these three components are working well, and if they can work well in a bear market, then rest assured that they can do very, very well when the bull market comes. And definitely one of the favorite advice for me to everyone is that please try to practice dollar average costs. What it means is that if I'm going to invest $1,000, and I know that the winter is probably, let's say, going to be over 2 years, so that's 24 months. So I might just split my $1,000 into 24 parts and just invest, one out of 24 parts every month. But at the same time, don't forget that you're here to make a profit. What that means is that when the bull market does arrive and everybody goes crazy over a token, don't try to guess the top. Don't try to say that this token went from 1 cent to 90 cents, and I think it's going to be $1. I'm not going to sell it for less than $1. Don't believe those things. Don't believe those influencers. What you look at is you look at your own position, and when you look at your own position, if you're in profit, and in general, bull markets, probably last anywhere between 6 months to maybe a year or two, a year and a half, maybe. So what you can do is you sell a little bit of your holding every single month, regardless of the price. So that way you ensure that you're getting you cannot get the absolute bottom of the market, but you're getting very close to your average cost is very close to the bottom of the market. And you can also be rest assured that your average selling price is closer to the highest part of the market. And that's the way that you make money sustainably for the long run.